What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and I want to make you guys aware of something that you might not even know, that your brain is being programmed to believe Russian propaganda. And I think a lot of people are actually being paid by Russia to spew Russian propaganda. I think a lot of YouTube and YouTube channels and a lot of people that go on YouTube channels are actually being paid by Russia. Yeah. And this is probably a lot of very controversial, and a lot of people don't believe this or may not believe this, but I think this is very true. And when you hear a lot of this stuff saying stuff like, oh, the America's leading the war in Ukraine, you just got to kind of go back here a second here and remember who started the war. Literally, Vladimir Putin went in and invaded the war in Ukraine. Okay. And you're going to hear things like, and we'll go back here a second. If you watch my previous video, for months, Vladimir Putin said, I touched on this in the previous video, I'll link you to here. For months, Russia insists it won't start a war in Ukraine as it seeks to tone down the invasion rhetoric from the United States. This is back in January of 2022, as they moved troops towards the Ukraine border. Russia lied through their teeth for months and said, oh, we're not going to invade. We're not going to invade, as they lied to the world and then invaded in Ukraine. And, the big lie now that's going around now, and you're seeing a lot of Russian propaganda on YouTube channels and anywhere going that you might see, is that Russia should be allowed to invade other countries, that they should be allowed to just go in and take over Ukraine, and they're getting in people's mind. Russia's probably even paying off some people, even some prominent people, to go in and say these things. Imagine if Hitler was just allowed to go in and take over country after country after country, and they programmed people to think that this was okay. Remember here that Russia just admitted to, and I'll show you the headlines. Moscow says that they have taken 700,000 children from Ukraine conflict zones, taken them from their parents, their mother and father who birthed them, stolen them, and have taken them and just stole them and put them into Russia, into what they call now re-education camps. Now, the reason they have done this is because they're bombing Ukraine. They've invaded the country and want to, quote, what they call keep them safe by stealing them from their birth parents, their mother and fathers. 700,000 children. This comes directly from Putin and Moscow. Yeah, so again, and this is the propaganda that Russia and YouTube channels and other prominent figures want to feed you, that they may even be getting paid to do this and to say this stuff. They want you to believe that stealing children is okay. And they want you to believe that the United States and Europe and all these other countries are wrong and that Russia is right for doing this type of stuff. In fact, they want you to believe things like Ukraine is Nazis and Russia is good, Ukraine and the United States and the people trying to protect their country from being invaded are bad. But in the reality, all you got to do is look at how all the rest of the world feels. And you can do this simply by looking at how all the rest of the world actually feels. You can do this by looking at the United Nations votes, which is basically all the rest of the world. So when Russia went to actually vote on this, remember the vote, the annexation vote, when Russia tried to, or did actually go door to door in Ukraine with armed soldiers and put these people in Ukraine, say, how do you want to vote? Do you want to be part of Ukraine or part of Russia, with armed soldiers with guns to these people, and then Russia went and counted the votes by themselves. Well, the world voted on this. And how did the world respond? Well, here's the answer. Yeah, well, here's the United Nations vote, which is all of the world, basically. And you can look this up yourself. Here's the actual response back from October. 143 countries voted against Russia. Only 5 countries, 4 other countries, including Russia, voted in favor of Russia, saying it was a legitimate vote. Yeah. So the only countries that actually believed that this was a legitimate vote and that Russia was doing the correct thing were North Korea, Nicaragua, Russia, and Syria and Belarus. Not even China voted on Russia's side. 143 other countries voted against Russia. So if you ever, and 35 countries abstained and didn't want to take any sides. So if you ever want to know how the world feels about, again, what's going on in Ukraine, should this territory be Ukraine or Russia, like 99 or 98.5 or whatever the percentage is there, like 99% of the world thinks it should be Ukraine's territory, not Russia's. Not even China sided with Russia. Yeah, so again, you can feed into Russian propaganda, people that might be even getting paid by Russia. And think about this, if Russia were to pay a couple $1,000,000 to feed Russian propaganda, that's absolutely nothing to Vladimir Putin. So you got to think about this when you're hearing propaganda saying, "Oh, Russia's got all these friends," everybody believes Russia. Russia's in the right. That all these people are losing their lives, and Russia's right. They're not, because the world voted on this. Okay, and Russia and only 4 other friends actually voted for Russia. One, Belarus, which is basically a country almost under control of Russia at this point. Not even China voted for Russia. What does that tell you? Okay, and the other one's North Korea, which is, well, I mean, if you know anything about North Korea, the world does not believe Russia. So if you're hearing this, oh, Russia's got so many friends, the world believes Russia, Russia's right. That is not the case. Okay. Russia's invading another country, and the world is not siding on the invader here. Okay. And history shows that when you invade another country and try to take it over, that is often not the case, that you should not invade another country and just take it over. Yeah. And in fact, Crimea shouldn't actually have been taken over, and the world just didn't stand up for it in that case. And honestly, it seems like a repeat of World War II. Putin is trying to take over country after country after country, and they actually showed this with Moldova actually as well, where they leaked plans twice actually that they want to take over Moldova next by accident. Yeah, so you look at, they want to take over Moldova, they've already taken over Crimea, they want to take over Ukraine, 45 million people. They've actually shown plans that they want to take over Belarus, which they're kind of in process of. This is literally the plan that Hitler did with World War II. Take over country after country after country. Putin is doing the same thing now. The question is, do you let somebody take over country after country after country by force, or however they plan to do it, and the propaganda campaign that goes along with it, where they try to make people believe that it is the right thing to do? And Ukrainian people are just trying to prevent their country from being taken over. And Russian people, or Putin and the Putin government, are trying to make people that their taking over of the country is actually the right thing to do. that Ukrainian people should not defend their own country from being taken over. Yeah. And the thing I always go back to here is that it was not even a year ago, not even a year ago, when a Russian lawmaker threatens that Russia would try to reclaim Alaska, because years ago, back in the 1800s, Alaska was once part of Russia, and the United States bought it from Russia. And Russia said that basically they could renege on the deal and claim it back and say, well, sorry, we're going to take that back and we're going to null and void the purchase of Alaska. This is the type of thinking that Russia goes through. Yeah, a top Russian lawmaker warned that the United States that Russia may seek to reclaim Alaska in retaliation for US sanctions over the invasion of Ukraine. So again, imagine if Russia tried to do this over Alaska. Now you can see how the shoe would be on the other foot. And again, it's trying to deal with unrational people. This is Russia. This is Russian propaganda. So now when you kind of start to hear some of this stuff, take it with a grain of salt. Another thing to remember is that there is a lot of Russian propagandists that I think are paid or even bots in YouTube comment sections. And I think that there is a lot of people that believe a lot more than they should when it comes to Russian propaganda. Yeah, and I think that this is just kind of an eye-opening moment for a lot of people. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here when it comes to everything going on here around the world on a daily basis. And I think as we get closer to the election, Russian interference is going to become more and more prevalent for sure. Let me know your thoughts here. Make sure to subscribe down below. Click the bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos that come out here on our YouTube channel on a daily basis, 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. every single day, Eastern Standard Time. And don't forget to like and share this video because this is a very important video. A lot of people are not aware of this, that they're being programmed to hear this stuff pro-Russian, and they're not even aware about it. I think once you hear this at least one time, you're gonna hear this and take it with a grain of salt, because it's actually something I come to realize here a little bit and didn't even really notice. Yeah, so thank you for liking and sharing this video. Share it on Facebook, Twitter. You can click here because you won't believe what Putin just did. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.